Hello there. Photographing pages of a book is not the easiest of tasks, especially new books that want to close themselves. The natural curvature of the page can unevenly distribute the light as well, and just give an imperfect shot. I hope to help you with this and any other problems you might be having along the way. So, how do you photograph book pages? In a nutshell, take an anti-glare acrylic sheet and place this over the open book on the page in question. Using sufficient soft lighting and a tripod or a copy stand, set the timer to take the photo for a well illuminated and high quality image. So let's go a bit more in depth on the above summary and expand on it a little bit. So you can take a more stylistic approach with folded pages, as you can see here, but the way you're probably looking to do things is to have it open flat and straight, with no shadows at all. Soft light source is a light that is emitted from an object that is larger than the book, that allows the light to softly wrap around the book, which more evenly illuminates the entire surface of the pages, the writing and the imagery. Sunlight is a great source of soft light when dispersed by a sufficient number of clouds. If you're using this to photograph your book next to a window, then the light will of course just be coming from one side, casting a slight shadow on the pages on the opposite side. To counteract this, place some white card on the opposite side of the book to bounce some of the light back, and this is lighting techniques using light from a window. Alternatively, a pair of studio lights placed either side of the book pages at a height positioned at above, both facing downwards at a 45-degree angle, will give a nice evenly distributed source of light that will illuminate the entire surface area. To make sure the lighting is even, place a pen or pencil vertically downwards at the centre of the background. If the shadow is even on both sides of the pencil, lined up in the middle, then the lighting is spot on. A light box or a light tent also works really well for e-commerce and for sales sites, i.e. not social media, because you get that nice white background. Now, when it comes to using props, the choice of whether to use the props or not depends on the purpose of the photograph. So, these are my recommendations there. For e-commerce, if you're seeking to sell the book by displaying the pages, it is advisable to have the imagery be perfectly cropped around the pages. However, you are required to have perfectly square images on certain platforms. If this is the case, then a plain white or slightly grey background will be the least distracting to the eye, and that's the sort of shot we want for e-commerce, something that focuses the eyes on the content itself. If you're doing it for social media, then using props to liven up the images and to help tell the story that is in the book pages themselves is a good way to go. Maybe putting a feather quill next to open pages of a nice old book gives a bit of insight into how it might have been written. A cuddly toy next to a how to craft toys book, off the top of my head, some random things like that, just to bring it all alive. Advert shots designed to attract people to your sales pages need to get people's attention and get them interested, and then get them to click through to your page. For this type of image, combine the social media or e-commerce page photography with a short description, as well as a link through to your page to learn more. Okay, so onto the equipment. You can use a tripod primarily, because we're going to be laying the book flat lay style on the ground with an anti-glare acrylic sheet placed on top to keep it open and to stop reflections. A tripod you can place that faces downwards is a really good way of keeping the camera steady and in the same position, so that you can line up the book pages, have it ready to go, and take the snap with it being extremely stable. Because obviously when you're doing it by hand, you can have that shake, which can be counteracted, by the way, by using the timer. But there is a better thing to use than the tripod, which is the copy stand. This is the alternative method to the tripod. Actually, what it is it's a camera on a white base stand with the camera placed on top facing straight down at the base. So this is sort of an all-in-one which has a tripod, has a background, and everything just built in together. And just so that's just another way to go. The anti-glare acrylic sheet can then be placed over the pages, the lighting setup as previously described, then you are ready to get those page photos taken in a rapid succession. Okay, so next you want to use correct distancing to avoid blurring, which is using zoom, or the fish effect, which is when you've got the camera too close. Basically trying to avoid using the zoom function if possible, so just have the camera at the correct distance away from the page itself, and that is going to avoid all problems basically. Just use the middle ground, not too far, not too close. You want to take a photo with a small amount of extra space around the edge, however, so you can crop it out for these e-commerce images. This is the safest bet and will avoid having to change too much in the editing phase later on. However, if you do want to use the zoom function, I have written about it elsewhere to sort of reduce the blurriness that's going to come from that. So the correct camera settings, with everything else in place, the auto settings should actually be fine here on all modern cameras. If things are still a bit dark, you can adjust the aperture and brightness settings on the camera, or fix this in the editing phase later on. The more you do now though will save time later on, and you don't need to worry about having a really high quality camera for this, because they work better under poor lighting conditions, whereas most modern phone cameras, with the combination of having correct lighting setup, as you spoke about before, it's going to be more than fine, to be honest with you. So editing the pages later on, if you don't have the right amount of light, all you need to do is use the post-production phase, which is the editing software, whatever you're using, to crop it into a perfect square for the e-commerce platform, whatever it needs, and add some brightness if it's needed, just because you want it to pop it off the page and be recognisable. And that's the bulk of it today. I do actually write a lot more about this in more detail, giving you more clear step-by-step details on my website. You can see it here. I've also got a link to it, or just Google how to photograph book pages. You'll see my website pop up, productpictips.com, and I hope to see you there. Cheers, bye.